What's up guys, Sheldon back with another review, and today we're looking at the super action statue. I don't know how to say the name, his first name, Narciso Anasui from Jojo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6, Stone Ocean. Alright, let's take a look at the box really quickly over here. So, typical Harlequin pattern. Really nice design around here, and it's got that blue to green gradient. Some poses you can put Anasui in, and a quick visual of all the accessories, which actually is a lot. So on top of the hands, you get these really cool effect parts over here, which we'll take a close look at in a second. You have the standard face, who's scowling, and then you have the deeper scowl, or the I'm gonna kiss you really hard face, and the display stand, of course. And then you have some box art over here, just neutral standing pose. Got the box window, and more box art. Alright, cool. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at the accessories. Alright, so to start off with, we have Anasui with a pair of fists. We have Anasui with a pair of straight finger hands. You can kind of see that they're not exactly the same. The thumb positions aren't quite the same, but essentially the same type of hand. Anasui also comes with two pairs, I guess not two pairs, but one of each of some special hands over here. So this one is kind of like a nice little murder hand. The finger's a little weird, it's kind of diabolic, so that's pretty cool. And then this hand, I'm not really sure what that is. This kind of looks like a please give me 3 orders of chicken nugget hands. I'm not sure, I'm pretty sure it's a plot significant hand where he uses this expression to maybe attack. Or maybe it's one of these kind of like, when heaven feels just right hand, like that meme. But who knows, but here he is with these 2 special hands over here. And honestly, he also comes with a pair of these Kubik Hands, which I'm not sure 100% what they're for. To be honest, I believe they're, well, the stand diver down dives into things, and then kind of stores its power and kind of jumps out and surprises people. So maybe this is a gesture that the diver down uses. That's my guess. But the figure also comes with these 3 accessories, which are my favorite by far, and these are these extra effect parts of diver down. So you get 3 forearms, well, just kidding, 2 forearms, 1 for each hand, and 1 foot, as well as these 3 effect parts, 2 long and 1 short. And what you do here is to attach these effect parts to the back of these limbs. I'm not going to do them right away because they are a little bit stiff and kind of hard to get into. But what you can do is you attach these to the back, and it looks like they're punching or flying out. And so, if you don't know, Diver Down's power is to kind of punch things or hit things or go inside things. And then kind of store the energy, and then the energy later can come out. So for example, he can kind of punch this wall and then store it, and then when a bad guy comes out, a fist flies out of the wall and knocks him out. So it's pretty cool. It's kind of like a trap card. You just punch the wall a whole bunch of times, and then when a bad guy walks by, the fists fly out and punches the bad guy in the nuts like a million times. It's pretty great. So it's a pretty cool power, and a fantastic effect, I really have to say. So not only do the effect parts look pretty close, not pretty close, but exactly like Diver Down's arm. I don't know if you can tell, but the arms also, and legs, go from solid to transparent. Let me see if I can get a closer look for you guys, though. Yeah, but they go from solid to transparent, which really lends to the effect that the stand really is kind of like jumping out of a wall and materializing out of nowhere. So that's super, super cool. One of the coolest effect parts of any figure in the JoJo collection so far. So, it also comes with the display stand, which I don't normally mess with, but it seems like there's no way to help it. But what you can do is to attach the effect parts like this to simulate the effect of the limbs flying out of the wall or flying out of things. You can even do it from the ground too, like this. So you can just do it like an uppercut from the ground. So that's super cool. But let me just show you. I believe, and we'll go back to the hands, I believe Anasui punches a wall that he's trying to get up at some point in the story, and I think when the limbs come out, he decides to climb them or step on them to get up the wall. I think that's what that is. I don't really quite remember. Regardless though, this effect, so cool. favorite part of the figure by far. Alright, so aside from those accessories though, Anasui, gonna get him out of the way, also comes with an extra head over here. So the expression is kind of interesting. I know it's supposed to be an aggressive face, but he looks more confused than anything. But I think the face is appropriate considering that Anasui is in jail for murder, so I think a scowl for both faces is pretty appropriate. And then the hair itself is kind of like this bubblegum blue color, which is done pretty well. Nice shading and dry brushing throughout, and there's also shading in the hat. And the face is also painted pretty cleanly. So overall, a pretty nice suite of accessories. Again, can't get over how cool these are. But that pretty much does it for the accessories. Let's go ahead and take a look at the figure itself. Alright, so Anasui stands about 6 inches tall, almost exactly, and about 15.5 centimeters. It's pretty good size. Here is Anasui next to Diver Down, who came out a second ago. So some pretty good size. Diver Down, a little bulkier, only a little bit taller, but just about right for a stand. Here is Anasui next to Weather Report. Weather Report does have his legs a little wider apart, but Weather Report, again, generally a larger character, so it fits pretty well. And then here is Anasui, again, just with a couple of other figures, just so you can kind of see or compare. But here he is next to, as a figure, it's Tony Stark. So Tony Stark, a little thicker overall, about the same height. And of course, here is K2SO, who just happened to be nearby. So K2SO does tower over him. Alright, cool. That does it for the size comparison. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at the articulation. Alright, so, Anasui has a pretty standard articulation for the head and some new articulation in his shoulders. But let's start with the head here first. So it is on that hinged ball socket or ball joint. Unfortunately, you're not going to be able to move it around as easily for fairly obvious reason. The hair does get in the way. These two pieces are soft, so that's fortunate. But the hair back here is mostly hard, so you can get them to move side to side a little bit over here with a little bit of finagling. You're really going to have to work at it, but you're not going to get that much. So here it is going forward though, pretty decent range of motion, and obviously you're not going to be able to get it very far back, because again, the hair does get in the way and it is very hard. And then the neck, single ball joint, so you get a little bit of play over here, but overall it's okay for the hair. What can you do? And then the shoulders are a little different from what I've seen over here though. So it looks like they have a dumbbell joint, so a socket over here and a peg over here. So the socket does give you some pretty decent range of motion. You get a butterfly now, so that's pretty nice, and you do get the full swivel, which is really nice. The only drawback, as you can tell though, is that it's very, well, it's not very, well, yeah, it's pretty ugly. The joint is very obvious and it's not hidden well, so you do get you do get a bit of trade-off for the articulation. And the joint itself is very tight though, which is nice. I'd prefer it to be a little tighter as opposed to too loose, otherwise you can't hold any of the poses. But again, thanks to the new joint, you get really good range of motion, and you can even play with it to get even more. So you get greater than horizontal, so pretty good. You do get it to swivel all the way, no problem. You don't have a thigh swivel, you don't have a bicep swivel right here, but you get it in the shoulder again because it's pegged into the arm. So overall, pretty good. I'm pretty satisfied. It's okay. It's not the best looking, but the range of motion is good. Double jointed elbows, really good range of motion over here. And then for the wrists, it's that hinged peg over here, pretty standard swivels at the wrist and at the hand. And then for the abs, it is, I believe, ball socket and, ball joint and ball joint or socket. So decent range of motion going around. You do get a bit of gapping if you go too far back, but pretty decent range of motion going back. Going forward is also decent, not the best. And then there is articulation here. It's a little hard to get to, but you do get a bit of a swivel. So when combined, that's as far as it's going to go forward. Going backwards, usually better. Wow, actually really good range of motion going backwards. How strange. That's weird how that always happens though. You'd figure they'd make a way to get it to bend forward. Okay, regardless though, that is the ab articulation. And then for the hips, again, a little ugly. It's just so obvious, right? Here's something to notice too. The dong sticks out quite a lot. So I don't mind. It's pretty fun given that it is Jojo and the more kind of fabulous and exaggerated and outrageous, the better. But that's something to note. It does look kind of ugly though, because you can kind of see the guts of the figure. But what can you do? It is the standard socket over here, so here it is going outwards, which is actually pretty good. And the, I guess, skirt is a soft plastic, so it doesn't really get in the way over here. And then here's the leg going forward, not bad. And then going backwards, looks like the soft plastic actually does not get in the way. But the sculpt does make the leg go out at an angle. You do get a thigh swivel over here, so pretty good range of motion. And then you get double jointed knees, which is pretty good. And then for the angles, here it is going back, and here it is going forward. Forward is much more limited. It does have a toe hinge, which is fairly useless though, because it is pretty loose. And you do have an ankle rocker. You just gotta move it around, but you can get a pretty decent angle. Alright, so that does it for the articulation. Let's talk paint and sculpt. So, I was not a super fan of the purple top when I first saw it, but it has grown on me. I'm not really sure what the coloring on Anasui was, but in terms of paint, well, the general appearance is kind of strange, right? The whole bodysuit is a fishnet, so it was kind of strange that this was white and that was purple. It made sense if it was one piece, one color, but overall it does look pretty nice. I personally like the outrageous outfits, so I really like how he has the thigh-high to fishnet combo somehow. Regardless of how it looks in my personal taste, it is painted very cleanly. All of these lines are sculpted on here, just like King Crimson, and they're very cleanly done. They have these foot marks on him, and they are shaded too. So overall it's painted very well. I didn't show you guys the back over here though. But each of these gold studs are painted, and all of it is done really well, and the soft plastic is done really well. As well as these boots over here, nice folds sculpted in, nice shading, and you know, the texture does look very nice in terms of contrasting the matte skin tone and these slightly glossy boots to give it kind of like the either vinyl or leather feeling. And there's a nice detail overall over here. So the appearance, I gotta say, I personally really like it. It's kind of an unusual figure. And the hair, I really like this kind of like baby blue, kind of cotton candy color. So overall, I personally really like this figure. I don't think it's a very popular character, and I like it for multiple reasons. One, the articulation is pretty good. Two, the appearance is kind of outrageous, and I tend to like the more flamboyant characters. And three, I really, really love these extra accessories right here. They didn't have to put this in here, and I believe it only comes up once or twice. Well, that's not true. The character does kind of like hide his stand inside of people, so it comes out. So it's just such a cool accessory to have. Super action statues rarely come with effect parts, and like every time you get one, I'm just so impressed and so happy to have these. So this combined with Diver Down definitely makes a fantastic set, and also given that the character itself is not super well known, I would say I would recommend it right off the bat. Yes, if you do like the character, I would recommend it. It's done pretty well. If you're not a fan of the character, and you're looking to get into Jojo, and you can get past how kind of flamboyant he looks, I'd still recommend it. It's pretty good. And of course, if you're planning to get Diver Down, you know, hands down, go ahead. So yes, I do recommend it. Well, that pretty much does it for this review, though. If you enjoyed this video, sorry, I can't talk today, feel free to give me a thumbs up and subscribe for more. I'll put Anasui in some poses at the end for you guys, but yeah, thanks for watching.